This is the end of the beginning. Welcome to today's show. If you haven't heard the news, there's now apparently a thing called a Hurriquake. That's right, a Hurriquake, and you're going to hear more stuff like this in the future because what we're seeing are storms combining with other storms because the H.A.A.R.P machine is turned on. Weaponized weather is the end game, name of the game for the elites, for the globalists, for the United States government, against its own citizens. I can't emphasize this enough, that if you're trying to wake somebody up, you can easily show them that this type of technology exists. It is not a conspiracy. H.A.A.R.P is not a conspiracy. CERN is not a conspiracy. Weaponized weather is not a conspiracy. These are things that they've used in war. So if the problem that you're having is wrapping your head around your own government doing it to you, get over it and get with the picture. They are attacking and onslaughting all the citizens of the world with weaponized weather in the name of climate change so they can get away with it. How people don't see it is beyond me. So Hurricane Hillary, Tropical Storm Hillary, has now brought an earthquake, a 5.1 magnitude earthquake to California. So they're really doing a number on the state. And this is no surprise because they're going to continue to destroy these states and they're going to bring them back and build them back up as smart cities. Everything's going to be connected to the internet and all small business owners are going to be run out or even flooded out like we're seeing with Hurricane Hillary as we see floods that look like oceans running down normal streets. But here's a news clip, and I want you to listen to this clip that aired in California as the Hurriquake happens. And even listen to them where they're saying, I mean, this is like nothing they've ever seen because they didn't know it ever existed because up until now, it didn't exist. But people are just so desensitized that they could just tell you that it's a tornado quake tomorrow, that it's a tornado blizzard, that it's a blizzard, that it's a combination of hail and snow and a blizzard. And they're just combining these things, merging these things. It's like the stupid shark movies. What are they called? Like Megalodon? Or these Sharknado, these sharks that, I mean, it's incredible, but it's right in front of our faces. This is not natural, and this is not occurring because of climate change. This is a strategic military operation on the citizens in the name of climate change. Look for yourself.
We felt it here in the studio.
Yeah, Pat. We did. We don't know if you did as well. There has been an earthquake on top of everything else that we're talking about. We understand that it was centered in Ventura County.
That's right.
Not exactly sure of the magnitude right now, but we certainly felt it here. I think I may have felt a little aftershock right now. Or
I definitely felt
nerves.
it coming on, and it went this way. And we're on a raised surface, but it was kind of like we swayed left and right.
But thank goodness the lights.
And it was very quick. Here you have it right there. Coming to us from Ventura County, an earthquake, as you said, Pat, on top of everything else that's going on right now, people dealing with that, we felt a shaker today.
And we did. Now I can see that our monitors are moving just a little bit.
I can see that.
Mike Rogers has some more information for us. Mike, what do you know?
Yeah, right now I'm working on getting the U.S. Geological Survey's map up. Sometimes right after these quakes, it takes a second for them to develop, but I felt it with you guys. I feel like there was a little foreshock almost. I felt something start to shake.
That's what I felt, Mike.
Right, and then we really had the shaking happen, and I'm looking up my monitor that I usually look at here in the studio actually is still rocking back and forth. It was a good little shaker. Now, sometimes here in the studio, it does shake a little bit more because of the way our building is built here. It is built to kind of move with these quakes. So I continue to update the map here. I'm still waiting for it to pop up. 5.0, Paul Diano is telling me 5.0 was that. So that is strong, centered in Ojai. And I don't know if you guys got it. I got an alert on my cell phone, a drop cover alert. So,
I did too.
Unfortunately, it came after the shaking, but it did come. Somebody that I know also got one. Here we go. Just popped up on our map. 5.0. That is a pretty sizable quake. Right here, centered in Ojai. Right here on the map, you see that's where it kind of happened. The LA area is over here. We have Ventura County, Ojai. Ojai is the area. You know, we've kind of already had those, mudslides and stuff from the recent storms. Ojai, it's kind of hard to tell on this map, but the city here that I'm kind of highlighting, little gray areas, that's actually the city of Ojai. So it looks like just southeast of Ojai proper, right below kind of Lion Creek, Sycamore Creek, this area right here. And as we look, there's been a cluster of these smaller quakes before this, 1.7, 1.4, kind of all in this area. And now you've got this bigger one that pops up in red when it's recent. It's 5.0 as we've been mentioning, guys. And I'm just going to kind of go over here to the Did You Feel It map, and we can kind of see, looks like that might be still populating, but this is the star here. So this map will usually show us where people felt it. We certainly here in Studio City felt it. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. We're going to continue to watch some of this stuff. I'm sure Ventura County Fire, let me just switch over to their incident map really quick and see if they're already starting to get any calls, or they'll likely start doing the they'll look, they do have an investigation listed, 238. That might be a little bit too soon here, but they do, we'll see if they end up starting to do some of these earthquake checks. We know LA County Fire oftentimes does that. I'm listening to the LA County Fire dispatch right now. So we'll see if they go into earthquake mode. It was 5.0, not centered in LA County, centered over in the Ventura County area in Ojai, as we've been talking about, guys.
You know what's interesting, if I'm not mistaken, Ventura County did not have an alert yesterday regarding Tropical Storm Hillary, did they? I don't remember them saying that. It seemed like Ventura County was the only place, basically, that they didn't have an alert in place.
And I want to show you really quick, it looks like there was just an aftershock of a 3.1.
Wow.
Okay.
Right in that same area. So this big red circle, that's the 5.0. 3.1 was the aftershock there.
Well, I just mentioned Earthquake Kit, about people having that together in preparation for Tropical Storm Hillary. So we're hoping that folks that live in the Ojai area, even around Thousand Oaks around there, that they're, okay, that we don't see a lot of damage. We don't have information about that yet. I'm going to try to check my Twitter account. Looking over at Paul Diano, and Paul, this is your first earthquake, right?
Went through the Napa earthquake, which was a 6.1, which shook us up out of bed about 3 in the morning. I want to say that was 2014. When I was in Northern California. This would be the first Southern California earthquake, and why not do it on the day where we're also dealing with our first tropical storm since 1939.
A lot of people ask and wonder, is there earthquake weather? Paul, we have a lot of rain coming down. Your thoughts on that?
That was my first thought. And every earthquake expert I have ever talked to has said there is no such thing as earthquake weather. And if there's ever been an argument against that argument, we are currently living in it. Because you can't tell people
that it's not connected
that the two
somehow.
aren't related if they want to think that.
We had always heard primarily that when it's really calm and generally warm weather, that's when an earthquake will happen. I remember January 1994, and I certainly don't remember, it wasn't cold in January at that time when the Northridge earthquake struck. Yeah, that was the biggest one that we've had. And I just remember how calm it was, however. But we've always sort of tried to guess, like, oh, is this earthquake weather or not? But didn't really expect it today. I'm going to be honest, though. I'm going to be perfectly honest. For some reason this morning I thought, wow, that's all we need is an earthquake. I did. I don't know why that came into my head, but I think because we are experiencing something that we haven't experienced.
Just so much going on.
Most of us in our lifetimes today that, that was major.
So when these people come out and they go, this has never happened before. Oh my gosh, this is once in a lifetime, right? Like, it was once in a lifetime that we had a hurricane in California, because pretty much they said the last one was 1939. And then, of course, merging it with a hurricane, why not at this point? Why not make sure H.A.R.P is turned up, not to volume 10, to volume 11? Because that's what's going on right now. We are going to see this all around the world, but specifically in North America. They are going to drill the West Coast. They are going to drill Florida, which I've talked about for years, it being a honeypot. It is a honeypot. And they're going to drill the East Coast with all types of weaponized weather. They are going to flood people out. They're going to kill people off. And they're going to continue destroying wildlife in the way, destroying trees, et cetera, which I'll get into in another video about vacuuming out carbon out of the sky. I mean, how people don't have common sense to think about things like photosynthesis is beyond me, about us being able to have oxygen. I mean, at the end of all this stuff, when you remove carbon and do all these things, people don't realize that they won't be able to have oxygen without these things, right? Because plants need carbon. I mean, it's incredible. I'll do a separate video on that because right now I want to talk about the Hurriquake, but let me give you a quick history lesson about the Hurriquake, okay? About earthquakes, about H.A.R.P, about Nikola Tesla creating a machine that was capable of creating earthquakes. And they've had this technology for a long time. We've seen the programming. We've seen it on The Simpsons, the earthquake machine. They've desensitized people to the fact that the government's able to do this. I mean, you look at things like CERN, and yes, I know CERN is there to open up portals and do all those types of things that people can't fathom with their own brains, but the fact that we're putting billions of dollars into this type of technology, what do they think it's for? What do you think it's sitting there? What's H.A.A.R.P sitting up there for, up in Alaska? Huh? You can't get near it. Oh, it's up there because we're running experiments. Oh, okay, you mean you're running experiments. The same experiments that I'm about to show you that Tesla ran that proved that this could be done, and now you have it on a massive scale where you could actually use it and use direct energy weapons and all these things against the people and then blame it on the weather. Do you see how convenient this is? Here's Nikola Tesla.
A fabled earthquake machine has also been linked to the enigmatic inventor Nikola Tesla. Some accounts say Tesla built a steam-powered oscillator which was designed to vibrate at various frequencies. The machine reportedly caused violent vibrations in a New York building, causing panic among people in the area who thought it was an earthquake. Tesla wanted to use the machine to transmit electricity via vibrations in the ground. The genius inventor believed that a powerful enough machine could even cause earthquakes. However, the idea did not progress beyond the prototype stage.
One sunny afternoon, Nikola Tesla was in his Houston Street laboratory in Manhattan. He was experimenting with oscillators, which are electronic devices used to emit sound waves and even vibrations. He attached the little device to a support beam in his lab that ran the length of the building. He switched it on and started to gradually adjust the frequency it was emitting until, bingo, the beam started to vibrate. He had found the resonant frequency of the column. The test was proving to be a success. He started to feel a vibration in the floor as the sound wave traveled down the length of the beam and spread under his feet. He increased the intensity on the knob. It was just a quiver, but his downstairs neighbor began to notice his ceiling shaking. The other neighbors thought it was a heavy truck banging down the street, but the shaking persisted and grew stronger and stronger. The vibration spread across the entire floor of the laboratory and into the neighboring buildings. Some of the locals in Little Italy and Chinatown began spilling onto the streets, thinking an earthquake was happening. The trembling was incessant and horrific, causing windows to shatter, pipes to stretch. The local police on Mulberry Street, they felt it too. An earthquake in New York City? Impossible. The police station was right around the corner from Tesla's lab, and they were all too familiar with the strange lights and sounds which would happen throughout the day and night from that building. As the ground shook, furniture was moving, pipes were breaking, and the officers thought the police headquarters was about to collapse. 2 police rushed out the door toward Tesla's lab. They reached his building. The vibrations felt even stronger there. They ran up the stairwell, facing the fear that the building might collapse on them. As they burst through the door to Tesla's lab, they were met with a bizarre sight. Tesla, swinging a heavy sledgehammer at one of the iron beams, he smashed the little device off, and the vibrations instantly stopped. No more earthquake. Tesla was surprised to see the 2 uniformed police officers just staring at him in shock. He approached them with the sledgehammer still in his hands and said, "Gentlemen, I'm sorry, but you are just a trifle too late to witness my experiment. I found it necessary to stop it suddenly and unexpectedly in an unusual manner, just as you entered. If you will come around this evening, I will have another oscillator attached to this platform, and each of you can stand on it. You will, I am sure, find it a most interesting and pleasurable experience. Now, you must leave, for I have many things to do. Good day, gentlemen." Apparently, Tesla was completely oblivious to the near destruction he had caused in the neighboring buildings and the neighborhood. The police were, I'm sure, as dumbfounded as the rest of the neighborhood. Everyone at that time knew who Tesla was. He was routinely in the New York papers. You can actually look up the digitized papers from early 1900s New York City and find dozens, and dozens of newspaper articles interviewing Tesla about lightning or electricity or reporting on his new experiments. He was an odd but welcome fixture of the modern industrial age.
So we know that these people have the ability to do it. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, I was kicked off. I have to watch what I say. Back in February, I know a guy who was kicked off of YouTube, who had a lot of subs for talking about the quake in Turkey, how Turkey refused to get involved with NATO. For the people out there, the kids like, I don't know what NATO is, I don't know what the UN is. I understand why you don't know, because you're living in a society that wants to do nothing but sugar feed you and spoon feed you bull crap and nonsense that will never educate you and never tell you what's going on. But NATO is really the New World Order. It's the governments working together against the civilians. And of course, this is what we're seeing on a global scale now, everybody together. But Turkey was having an issue with NATO and about who they would let in NATO, et cetera, and they warned Turkey, and guess what happened to Turkey? A thing formed above the sky, and then Turkey just got drilled, absolutely demolished. I talked about why. I talked about the weather and what they were doing and how this thing formed in the sky right beforehand. And then, of course, this YouTuber got thrown off the internet. I don't know what his name was. I can't remember. But we know that they have the ability to do this, right? So let's put that out on the side now, right? Does anybody out there who denies that they have the ability to do this is just either lying to themselves or complete morons, okay? And all one has to do is research this and find out for themselves. So once they find out that they can do this, again, the issue is convincing them or explaining to them why the government would want to do this to the people. Now, you shouldn't have to go into deep detail about why the government would do this to the people, because all one has to do is look at how the government operates. This government in America has openly been talking about its own citizens as terrorists. It's been calling its own citizens terrorists based on their religious views or their political affiliation. So no, they wouldn't have, they wouldn't have any agenda against their own people. They only show you day in and day out that they hate you. And if you're Democrat, you can say the same thing about Trump, right? Because that's how they all felt when Trump was in office. So can't we all just unite on this and realize that both parties don't care about any of us? They're not working for us. In fact, they're doing everything they can to shred our rights and our country at the same time. So we know that they can do this with the weather, right? But let's take a look at a hurricane, because you're going to hear more stuff like this over and over and over again, because they're going to continue to combine natural disasters, and they're going to tell you that we've never seen anything like it, because people naturally, even though people are so dumb now, naturally should be like, what in the world is happening? This isn't normal. But they already have the explanation in place. Well, that's climate change. And then every zombie out there is going to nod and accept that and say it's climate change. They'll ignore the fact that the government can weaponize weather. They'll ignore all the warning signs of the government turning on the people. They'll ignore all the warning signs of the government hating all of us. And they'll ignore the last thing that occurred a few years ago where they literally were trying to kill people off. They'll ignore all of it. They will. Because they are completely on autopilot. So Hurriquake, California, hit by a 5.1 magnitude earthquake as Hurricane Hillary at the same time is hitting LA and San Diego with 80-mile-per-hour winds. Does it sound, if you want to disband people, you want to remove them from areas, other than changing policies and things like that, which aren't going to get people to go. Clearly, the homeless people aren't going to go anywhere. So what do? You want to get rid of businesses? You flood them out. And if you can't buy them out, like in Maui, you use a direct energy weapon to fry them out. They do not care. And again, people who can't wrap their heads around it and even say, well, the government doesn't like it, but they're not that sick. They're not that wicked. They're more wicked than you could imagine. I keep saying it. I don't understand why people don't get it. If you knew what they do with children, then you'd start to say, oh, wow, well, if they can do that with an infant, those types of things with an infant, then yeah, they can do that with a group of people, whoever they are, whatever their skin color is, whatever their sexual orientation is, they'll have no problem doing it. And then don't have any problem doing it on a mass scale. And the books that they read, that they claim are their religious text, all support this. They go back to Babylon. That's where they go back to. The Babylonian fill in the blank. I won't say the name. I'll say it on the website because I can't say it here. So California hit with a 5.1 magnitude earthquake as Hurricane Hillary has hit LA and San Diego with 80-mile-per-hour winds. The quake centered in Ventura County, was felt across parts of Southern California on Sunday afternoon. The center is reported to have been 4 miles southeast of Ojai. I'm probably saying that wrong. Ojai, Ojai, let's just say, about 80 miles northwest of Los Angeles. And people have been, uploading videos of it. And of course, we have other places like Las Vegas and even up in Washington State that are declaring states of emergency, a state of emergency. So don't be surprised to see what happens there, what they roll in with FEMA, potentially rolling in martial law. I know people are like, well, everybody always says that they're going to do that. Well, they did that with the train in Palestine, right? All they would need to do is have the earthquake or the floods cause horrific damage, and they can do that. And then they can start doing it all around the country, right? It's not going to happen the way everyone thinks it's going to happen, where you keep saying tanks are going to roll down your street and they're just going to go, come on, everybody, we're going to kill y'all, line y'all up. They're going to convince people that all of this stuff is going on because of this or that, the climate, and they're going to enslave people over it. And people are going to have to obey. Well, you got to obey now. Elections, all these things will be canceled out. I mean, it's incredible, the mind control that they have over people. And people can't see it. The fact that people like me get silenced. What do you think they're silencing me for? Because I'm, a threat to them, clearly. Just like all of us are threats to them. That's why they take down your posts on Facebook, wherever you guys might post up. Because we're threats to them. Why are we threats to them? Because there's a small group of us that actually get what's going on. Does the alt-right media? No. What are they talking about? They're talking about Trump getting indicted. That's what they want you to talk about. They want you to stay in that prison, that left-right paradigm. Oh, Trump. Oh, Hunter Biden's laptop. Oh, my goodness. Rules for me, not for me. Hey, we got to stop this and do something. They're killing people with weather. They're doing it in the name of the climate. And this is the end game. This is Agenda 2030, which is now Agenda 2025 in play. So the United States Geological Survey, which reports and records earthquakes, said there was at least 4 aftershocks of magnitude 3.0 or greater. It comes as Hurricane Hillary makes landfall in SoCal, moving up from Mexico at speeds of 25 miles per hour, according to the National Hurricane Center. Residents are contending with winds of 65 miles per hour and the expectation of torrential rain that may bring up to 10 inches in a matter of hours in some places. So flooding them out. And I've been talking about this for years, and specifically I've been talking about it this summer, how they're going to be weaponizing weather, and it's going to run into the fall, obviously, hurricane season. There were articles out there. They're talking about it's going to be one of the worst hurricane seasons on record. It's not because they're predicting it. It's because they're telling you that they're going to do it. People out there need to be prepared with food, water. If you have well water, do what you can to get a pitch pump, because your electricity is going to be out. People don't realize you won't be able to use the water. So try to connect the pitch pump. Try to do these things. Make sure that you're prepared. Okay, I understand people are like, I don't have the money to do this kind of stuff. Well, pitch pump's not the most expensive thing in the world. But, people always say they don't have the kind of money to do so. I can't afford to do this, right? And I can't afford to do that. Well, no one's telling you to go buy a Rolls Royce. Okay, put in a pitch pump. It's not the most glamorous thing in the world, but when the grid's down and everything's off, you'll be thankful you have running water. Because guess what? You can't live a day or two without water. Drinking water, right? And that's why they're hell-bent on controlling the water and the food, which is what they're doing. So let's continue. At least one person's already died after their vehicle was swept away near Santa Rosa after catastrophic flooding swallowed parts of Mexico's Baja California peninsula. And again, Baja, we talked about this. I talked about Mountain Dew with the Maui Blast, whatever it was called, Maui Blast, I believe it was, DEW, Mountain Dew. And then, of course, there's other things in Maui. So is there a theme here with Maui? I'll cover in a different video. We have Baja Gold, right? Interesting, right? We have Mexico's Baja California Peninsula. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of gold over there. So, a lot of interesting things, a lot of interesting nuggets, so to speak. No irony there at all, and no pun intended. But FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell told CBS during an interview on Sunday that residents can expect significant impact. So you could expect FEMA to be rolling in. They say people really need to take this storm in California serious. I'm sure most people are. Okay, I mean, if they've never gotten hurricanes there, which they don't, they obviously get earthquakes all the time, but now they're getting both at once. What's the other theme that we see in California, right? Watch the themes, watch the patterns. What's the other theme? The government and the governor, the slime ball, Gavin Newsom in California, are doing everything they can to destroy California. You don't think Gavin Newsom knows what he's doing? You think that he's that tone deaf that he doesn't know he's destroying one of the most beautiful states in the country, that they're letting people run around with needles in their arms, that businesses are going under, that people are moving out? That's all done by design. So whoever's left, whoever didn't go by design, now they're hitting you this way to make sure you go by design. Because what are they going to do? They're going to roll in new smart cities. They're going to rebuild in these hot spots. Oh, we're going to rebuild LA. We're going to rebuild New York. We're going to rebuild Maui. Right? Maui's they're hell-bent on the smart cities in these specific spots, these main cities. Los Angeles, Chicago, New York. So they're going to destroy these cities. We see them destroying them from within, right? What do we hear about Chicago? The crime rate is unbelievable, and nobody does anything to stop it. New York, they're letting migrants in. There's nowhere to live. People are fleeing. California, the same thing, by design. But what's the other way they're going to get people out? How are they going to get business owners to shut down their businesses? They're going to flood them out. They're going to weaponize weather to get them out. They're going to use inflation to get them out. They're going to do another lockdown to make sure their businesses suffer. These are all by design, ladies and gentlemen, to create prison cities. So back to the topic here with Hurriquake. You're going to hear more of this stuff over and over. Hurriquake. Oh, it's a normal thing, a Hurriquake. Have you heard of a Hurriquake? No, I've never heard of a Hurriquake. Why? Because it didn't exist until now. Why is it happening now? Oh, because of climate change? No, because they're weaponizing weather. They have gone rogue. I can't emphasize it enough. They have turned on the citizens of this country. All governments, all countries around the world are in bed together, the governments, and are turning on the people. That's what they do in secret. That's why they go to the meetings. That's what happens in Davos. That is what happens at Bilderberg. That's what happens at Bohemian Grove. All these meetings every month, people are just like, what are they doing there? Oh, and then they give you some bullcrap excuse. Oh, did you know all these major politicians are at this summit, and so are the guys from Netflix? They must be making some type of deal. Maybe they're merging AOL and Netflix. No, that's not what they're doing. They can make a phone call to do that. These are things they have to do together, not over the phone. They can't have anyone interfere or find out about it. They shut all their technology off. They go and they meet at these resort places, and all they do is talk about our demise, how they're going to do this, how they're going to do that, how they're going to control the media. What's the narrative going to be? How do they, what mind control methods they use here, there? What are they going to do to anybody that questions the narrative? Da-da-da-da-da. Every single box checked. Well, everybody out there just walks around, farting around, clueless about the power that the government has as far as technology and weaponry. And the weaponry ain't for Osama bin Laden. It ain't for Vladimir Putin. It ain't for any other government. It is for us. And they're using it right now. Hurriquake, folks. It's like a Sharknado. You can expect more of this crap. You're going to probably see, we head into the fall, we're going to see blizzards probably combined with tornadoes, combined with tsunamis. And they're going to tell us that it's normal because the oceans are warming up. And everyone's just going to believe it because they're stupid. This government, all these governments have shown that they do not care about the citizens at all. The only times that they say that they care when they want to get poison in your body. Yeah, they care so much. Here's for some free poison for you. Unbelievable. I needed to rant about it. Hurriquake, folks. Hopefully anybody out there in California, Vegas, the West Coast, my prayers are with you and your families. Obviously, this is devastating. It's devastating because it does more than, if you don't die from this stuff, they upend your life. They take everything, and I get it. It's treasure on earth, and I get it. This stuff's all meaningless. But, tell me that when they take away your home or they take away your pets, they kill your pets off or anything like that they're doing with these weapons. They don't care about us. And until people realize that, society is pretty much screwed until people wake up and realize what they're doing. But it's going to be too late by then. Prayers for everybody out there. Thank you all who are here. I appreciate it greatly. This video is probably going to get a strike. So make sure you sub to my other channels if you haven't yet. They're linked below. God bless all of you, as always, and your families.